Good morning to everyone and my respectful pranams from Shantikunj, Haridwar, India. Headquarter of all World Gayatri Parivar, a colossal socio-spiritual organization that has reached more than 150 million members and has got more than 5,000 centers of self-embellishment and social upliftment all over the India and abroad. And that was established by one of the most prolific scholars of modern India, Pandit Shyam Sharma Acharya with a great vision. And one of the visions that he had was to revive the beauty and fabric and ethos of the Indian wisdom traditions. And in that context, I feel absolutely fortunate to have this opportunity to convey a message of solidarity for Zero Hour of India, who have taken a incredibly wonderful initiative. And when I think about the reason for them to take such a wonderful initiative and how do I evaluate that, I think that an initiative like this in the current times is of greatest significance because philosophically and spiritually we are somehow fortunate and unfortunate at the same time to have had this opportunity, or rather we should call it a blessing, to have lived in one of the most precarious times in the history of the mankind. And I'm not saying it only because we are passing through a global pandemic. I'm not saying it because of COVID and Corona, but the reason I'm saying it because of a specific reason. If we look at the progress of humanity, particularly in last 2 or 3 centuries, especially in the disciplines of science and technology, then without a shade of doubt, we can say that that progress had been extremely promising and encouraging. Not only we have conquered the space and landed on the moon, we are already planning to establish a colony on the Mars. There is no dimension left where we cannot discover the signatures of scientific advancement. But this progress had come at a massive cost. That's the issue. It came at a cost of our psychological, social, and emotional fulfillment, as well as the satisfaction. And in spite of these marvelous advancements, when we evaluate the humanity and then find that somehow we have turned ourselves into a bunch, into a group, cohort of disintegrated individuals, broken families, and fractured societies, then this progress seems like a gain, but at a huge loss, far bigger than we could possibly imagine. And when we search for solutions, or rather a decent direction for humanity from here, then what comes to my mind is a Sanskrit concept called Sanskriti, which is inaccurately translated as culture in English. This is not a problem of translation. The problem is that there is no suitable counterpart of the word Sanskriti in English. So it is better to understand that how the word culture differs from Sanskriti. We use the word culture to define geographically or topographically shared practices, which is reasonably superficial and restricted in approach. For example, if I use the word Italian culture, then many people would think that I'm talking about Italian cuisine, eating pizza, pasta, gnocchi, macaroni, something like that, which is a much limited viewpoint for something extraordinarily vast and superior. And that is why I prefer to use the word Sanskriti, because it refers to something deeper, something more precious, something more pristine. Sanskriti means refinement, embellishment in Hindi. A refined individual in Sanskrit would be called Susanskrit, and the language that is refined is called Sanskrit. And this process of refinement of an individual's personality is called Sanskriti. And when we use it in that context, then every possible aspect of human personality, our appearance to our behavior, our thoughts to our emotions, our virtues to our morals and principles, and our devotion and our determination to live and die for the right principles, they all come under together the umbrella of Sanskriti. And this Sanskriti that I refer to, it cannot belong to one country or one race. It is for humanity, and it is universal, and it is eternal. So it is not a coincidence that our university is called Deva Sanskriti Vishwavidyalaya because it refers to a concept of universal brotherhood. The Bharatiya Sanskriti or Indian culture or Vedic culture or divine culture, it is actually talking about that universality, the virtues that are mandatory to define a human being as a human being. Yato abhyudhanya shreyas dharma. They say that those qualities which define a human being to be a human being, and those attributes, those characteristics that would make one person kind and noble in one country should also make the person kind and noble in another country. In Vedas, the culture is a way of living and a school of thought. And as per Vedic understanding, Mahatma Gandhi would belong to the same culture that gave birth to St. Francis of Assisi, or Kagawa, or Mother Teresa, or Ravi, and others. And the reason I'm saying all that is because of the fundamental tenets of Indian culture. One of the fundamentals of Indian culture has been the discovery of zero. Not only that discovery have created the foundation of modern mathematics and have received the contributions from great scholars like Aryabhatta, Varahamihir, Brahmagupta, but it also provided the foundation for all Indian wisdom traditions to evolve. The concept of shunyata, the concept of nothingness, that if everything has been stripped away, taken away from me, from my possessions to my identity, from my ego to my pride, then what is left is actually me. That Patanjali talks about tada drishtu sarupe vasthanam. That moment you are established in your true consciousness and you become witness of everything, you have given up everything, then you are seated in the true consciousness of yoga. Yoga sachittavritti nirodha. It's the cessation of everything, everything. And then who can forget the famous Nasadiya Sukta of Rigved when the Rishi Parmeshti says Nasada Sivno Sadasiv Tadani Nasid Drajona Vyoma Paroya Kimavariva Kuvash Sharman Amba Kimasit Ghanam Gaviram Namrityurasi Tamritam Natarhe Naratryanna Asit Preka. In that time, he says, even nothingness was not there, not even the existence, not even the air, not even the heavens beyond it. There was no death, there was no immortality, there was no life, there was no light, there was no sound. And in that nothingness, only nothingness was there. From zero came the zero. And this beauty of the Indian wisdom tradition has been there, which gave birth not only to mathematics but also to metaphysics, not only to the concept of physics and all other scientific disciplines to emerge, but also the concept of philosophical and spiritual traditions to evolve. And I am very happy that this concept has been taken up by a very dear friend, Peter Goggins, and the entire team of Zero Org India, to remember that how significant that discovery was, that and how that has shaped not only the Indian wisdom traditions by taking birth in this land, but also multiple others. And in joint collaboration of Dev Sanskriti Vishwavidyalaya and Zero Org India, we are establishing a wonderful project together, and also working together to do an international conference. And I hope that this international conference on the concept of zero would allow multiple people, many people with great minds, great souls, and great scholars to come together and then take this opportunity to give something meaningful and fruitful to the world and future generations. Pranams, thank you.